It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
A fine Saturday morning to you all. Ocean, Steve, hello.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
You already broke it. You already
Well, I think it's the fact that, you know, where you are up there in the Northwest, maybe it's hard to tell where the sun is.
Well, we haven't seen the sun in like 8 days.
Yeah, so exactly. And Ocean thinks it's afternoon. Pete's on the morning schedule. Who knows?
It doesn't matter.
Yes.
It's just all orange. It's raining orange.
Yeah.
How are we doing? Gents, how you feeling? How are your movie lives? Good?
Oh, non-existent? I'm on my Game of Thrones binge for our trip to Croatia that's coming up.
Right. You're going to Croatia, quite a hotbed of controversy.
Well,
there.
But we just got through just the earlier. The most recent episode we just watched was the Red Wedding episode. So, you know, with
High
the
point.
huge,
Yes. Get ready for 8 episodes of disappointment.
Yeah.
And then it'll get good again. So.
There we are. Okay.
Yeah.
Those are the things I need to know. Okay.
To me, every Game of Thrones season can be summed up in 7 or 8 episodes of setup, 2 episodes of really awesome television.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Epic television. And usually
epic
somebody
television,
standing on a pile of bodies.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's great for that. But you know, after the high of the Red Wedding, you will find that it's going to go back to a slog. And that'll be great.
Okay.
Lots of ebb. Lots of ebb.
Yes. Lots of ebb.
Yep.
So
if you're a big fan of the books, right, Steve?
I've read the first. Well, I got through 1.5. So, and then what had happened was I had checked it out on my device from the library, and the one that was available was how they thought anybody would do this in the 2-week period was like, oh, it's a bundle, the first 4 books. And I'm like, you're giving me 2 weeks to read these 4 books? My eyes will bleed and shrivel up if I try to do that.
We're sorry, Mr. Summerton. Did you want the audiobook version? That's 189 hours.
So it's one that where I've got to the point where I'm like I was like, well, maybe I'll just wait till he finishes the last book and then I'll just binge the books, right? But I'll be a dead man before that happens. It looks like I don't know that it's the same one with the other series. Oh, what is his name? The King Killer Chronicles
Sanderson.
by. No, not Sanderson.
Oh goodness, who is he? God.
Yes, exactly. My friend Luke's going to kill me for not knowing this off. But it's like he's got 2 of them, and he's supposed to be doing the 3rd one, and that's never come along. So yeah, I'm tired of these guys that will knock out a couple of good ones and then be like, well, I'll just let this dangle here for a while while I make money doing other things. I'm like, just finish the books. Finish the books.
Well, we are here definitely to talk about movies for sure.
Yes,
and
I haven't seen any. Have you seen anything lately? What'd you go out to the theater to watch, Pete? What have you gone out to watch?
Please, Steve, have we met? You know my backstory. Oh no, theaters are dead to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
But which brings us, of course, a natural segue to TENET and this first story that, where it's not just about TENET again. We've talked about TENET, I think, every week consecutively since the first trailer. But I do think it's worth talking about this Screen Rant piece. Who posted this one? Was this this was Ocean? What do you got on TENET? Did you rush out to the theaters?
I did not, and I did not, and I guess I would even start it with, I'll preface this with 2 weeks ago on the Saturday Matinee, I was loud wrong. I thought TENET would, make a couple $100 million domestically and, dethrone Bad Boys for Life as the #1 domestic box office movie of the year.
But it did not.
It looks like that Martin Lawrence, Will Smith power combo is not going to be dethroned this year. I think that it was definitely the canary in the coal mine in that they wanted to see, okay, if this movie makes it, then maybe we can start releasing other fare, right? But when a movie this big does this poorly with this much hype and this much of everybody wanting to see it, and the box office still does this poorly, it just really tells you that people just aren't comfortable going out to the theaters. And I understand that because I include myself in people, I'm not, I also did not run out to go see this. And so I think that, it's going to be, this really does, bode poorly for the movie theater business for, the next 6 to 12 months. right? Until people really start getting comfortable, either there's a vaccine or a treatment that would make people comfortable going out into a theater. But so if this doesn't make it, then I don't think anything else really is going to come out. And so all these other movies where they're saying they're releasing it in December or November, I think those are all, none of that is going to happen. There won't be any big releases until next year.
So it's sitting right now at 29.5 US gross, 29.5 million. But like you compare that to, for example, Asia Pacific, South Korea at 10.3, China 51 million. It's just even places that are ahead of us on the pandemic curve, in some cases significantly, are just people aren't going to the theaters.
Well, and it's not only that, it's even now because people are saying, well, maybe we'll see that more of them doing the whole like Mulan thing of like, we'll just go straight to like, digital release and you pay, bigger for that, like in Trolls and all of that. But if that becomes the trend, then there's really a question of, does the movie theater industry just shutter itself? Because they sort of pinned their hopes on like, okay, Tenet will be the thing that starts to pivot and people will start coming in. Well, that clearly didn't do it. So if studios decide we're going to do straight digital home releases, then you can just count AMC, at least in the United States, these chains, they're not going to make it. I know they've tried lots of strategies. I saw that like out here, Cinemark is offering up like for all these movies that are out right now, they're like rent the theater. So basically buy tickets for like 10 people. We'll let you have the theater for whatever it is. It's like 200 and something bucks. You can rent the theater. We'll let you have 10 or 15 people in there at once and you can see it on the big screen. And I don't know that that's going to work. I've contemplated that. I thought if I had 10 friends that were my social bubble that I felt safe, then maybe, but it's still the idea of I'm in an enclosed space and the ventilation and there's just too many things. It's
right. Here's the challenge, because the last time there was a contraction in the theater business, the response was smaller boutique theaters, like living room theaters, like more couches and big chairs and smaller screens and in theater service and booze and all of that. So that was the reaction. Yeah. And so, you think, oh, well, maybe it'll just constrict a little bit and there'll be a few big players that are still around, but other theater owners will go small. I can't imagine sitting in a small living room theater with 20 of my closest friends, even not my closest friends, in a smaller space for 3 hours.
I want the big stadium seating with 5 people.
And I want to be the only person in it. That's what we want. And I just don't think there's a business model that satisfies that requirement.
Or your ticket prices are $300 a pop. I mean, that's it. Yeah.
And the challenge with Mulan, for example, I mean, I'm sitting here looking at Tenet. I'm saying, just put it online. Yeah. Let's all just accept the fact that you're not going to make $400 to $500 million, which is now what they're saying to recoup, to make its money back. Tenet's a $400 million, $500 million box office draw is what it needs to be. Let's just all accept the fact that it's not going to happen. And let me give you $30, right? Yeah. I will give it to you. I want to watch that movie very badly. Not that badly. It is a shut up and take my money kind of a scenario. I really want it. And I worry that this is not just an industry issue where the industry is looking at this massive bill they have to somehow pay back, but also an ideological one, which is, Christopher Nolan is the guy who is wielding, I think, maybe some dwindling authority in this discussion. And I wonder if this isn't just he hates the idea so much that even in this scenario, he's willing to just say, you know what, we need to leave this movie in theaters for a year. And maybe that's the solution. Maybe we go back to old school. How long did Star Wars do its original run, right?
Yeah.
Like a long time. So when there is no supply, they just leave them in there.
Yeah. Well, given the current movie climate, they definitely could leave it in there for a year and it has little to no competition.
Yeah, right.
I think that the reaction would be more from an economic standpoint that the studios just wouldn't release these albums that they have in the can.
Yeah.
Right. Because they've already plunked in the $200-300 million to make them, market them, etc. And that, it's actually cheaper to just wait this out than it would be to release it to a video on demand. Because, while I do agree that, like something like this, I want to think maybe I'd pay the $20-30 to watch it at home. But once I'm at home at that point it becomes like, well, if it's more than $5,
oh shit!
I mean, it better be first
man.
Run, you know. So,
that's what you're waiting on, is how many people have seen this before me. That's the measure you need.
The measure is that now you've brought it into my house, and so I understand, like, you know, if I take the family to the movie theater, I'm going to pay $40, $30, $50, whatever, depending upon concessions and all that, right? But
I've seen how you guys concess, by the way.
Oh yes, no,
you are celebrants.
Concesses, yes, no, it's not cheap to take my family to the movies, but and that's fine. I like doing it, but once the movie is my house, granted, I'm more comfortable, but am I going to pay $30 to see the movie?
Right.
I want to say my mind is telling me that I would do it. Bring TENET out. I'll pay it right away. And then part of me thinks that when it comes down to it, I might just sit there and go, maybe I'll just wait a few more months. It'll come down.
That's all it takes is a few more months. That's what we're thinking. A few more months.
And for me, it's the other factor of seeing movies like Gravity on like the big screen and then seeing it at home and saying, oh, yeah, that was okay. But there was something about the spectacle of the experience of being immersed in that darkened room with a huge wall of light that is just filling your field of vision, that you get lost and immersed. That's an experience that you don't forget versus you're watching it on your TV and then your kid comes up and talks to you, or the doorbell rings, or, something happens and you've got distractions, and you're very rarely in that isolated, immersed experience, and that it diminishes that. And that's my sort of anxiety about this, of I would love to see it right now, but I'm holding out I want that large spectacle. For TENET, for Dune, for, James Bond, that's what I want to do, is go get lost in that world. And it's really hard to do that at home. And I feel like, even, I hate to say this, but even if it came out and was available, I would maybe hold out of, maybe if I wait till the spring, I could see it in the theater, because I don't want to ruin that first viewing experience by it being on my TV where I could easily be distracted or interrupted.
Man, you guys sound so old.
I'm sorry, Pete. Okay, well, you can watch. You can wait till it gets sold to Quibi, and you can watch it on your phone vertically in Quibi in 10-minute segments.
10-minute segments. That's right. That's right. You ain't seen TENET until you've had to. I talk about appointment film viewing.
Yes.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
You mentioned the thing, and my answer to that always is just sit closer to the damn screen. You'll be fine. There's this new feature in iOS 14 that just released this week, that if you have AirPods Pro and you put them in your head and you're watching a movie, have you heard about this? You put it on your phone or your iPad and you're watching a movie, and so I tried this out with Annihilation.
Okay.
So there's right to get all the sound, and you turn your head and the sound moves. It's called spatial audio. And so you turn your head, you turn around, and the thing's kind of behind you. So is the sound. It's coming from the back of your head. And the only thing I could think is, and as a lover of movies and television media, I love it. And innovation in this is just great. And all I could think of was, there are just so many brilliant people who just invented this moving sound thing while the world is on fire. Like, why couldn't they use some of that to do something here? I was a little bit frustrated by that. It is a...
So is it when you turn so that basically it's like surround sound, but like gyroscopic surround sound?
Yeah,
so basically if Natalie Portman's in front of me and then I turn sideways,
she's on your side.
She's now on my side. Or if I'm walking away from the TV, everything is behind me.
It's ridiculous, Steve. I see where you're going with this, and I want to just jump on that train because it's ridiculous. Why do you want that with your phone? Right. Or with your iPad. Like, you're watching TV, you're watching a movie, and you don't have headphones on, and you turn your head. Yeah. And sure, I get the TV sound is still probably over there. I get that. Like, it's over. But I have the phone. I'm going to move the damn phone with my head if I want to keep watching it. Like, that's why I have headphones in. Stop moving the sound. I'm sorry. That was just a chance for me to sound like an old man.
Yeah, that, and when I watch films on my iPad, when I look away, that means I'm done watching the film.
Yes, right. I'm done watching the film.
I don't want to hear what's going on anymore. I've finished.
See, I thought that's what it was going to be. As soon as you like break eye contact, and since you turn, it's like going to pause it. Like, no. we're not doing anything until you get your eyes back on the screen. You don't get to hear anything until you're making eye contact. Then you get to see the picture.
And that's how I want to watch Tenet. Is I want to watch it kind of 70 degrees behind, and I want to ensure that on my iPad it's actually picture in a picture as small as I can make it, so that I can do my email at the same time.
Yes.
Well, that's what you'd be doing, because basically you wouldn't be watching Tenet. You'd be listening to Tenet.
Right, exactly.
So really what you're asking for is you want Tenet the podcast.
The dulcet tones of that sweet, sweet J.D. Washington. Oh, man, I could listen to that guy all night. Can we talk about Madonna, speaking of dulcet tones? There is nothing I like better than the three of us talking about a Madonna story. Nothing. Who's got some passion about this?
Well, what intrigued me about this, because I saw the headline, I thought, it's just Madonna. She's trying to make herself relevant again. But it's the fact that she's co-writing the movie with Diablo Cody.
Yeah,
that's what got that's where I thought, okay, because yes, it's a biopic, and yes, okay, we've seen Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man, and it seems like the time is right for this, and there's all kinds of 80s nostalgia. It makes sense, but having Diablo Cody write this, I thought there's the potential for this to be really interesting. I don't know, maybe this is, just me thinking about Madonna and her trying to reflect on who she is, that we're going to get something very interesting, entertaining, and probably nothing based in reality, possibly. But that's what I didn't know is that the Madonna had directed several films before. That was the other piece in the article that stood out. And I thought, well, that's not a good sign.
And they were panned. Like, they were not great.
Yes, exactly. Okay. But, she said that it's going to address the fallout from her controversial Like a Prayer video, her experience filming Evita. So we're going to get Madonna's version of Evita. I guess that may be interesting. It's her version of her roller coaster of a life, which has been pretty silent for the past decade, as far as I can recall. I don't, I'm not a huge Madonna fan, but she hasn't toured or had anything that I've been aware of out. So I think this is, the nice little retrospective to bring her back into the mainstream.
Well, yeah, and I think that's really where you bring her back into more as a mainstream. She's been releasing, music and has albums out and everything. She's been putting things out and touring and doing stuff because, she has a big enough catalog that, let's face it, she could just, sell tickets for $200-$300 a pop for just, play all of her 80s and 90s hits, right? Yeah. So she still is doing a lot of things like that. I think that, to me, the real problem with it is that, the idea that she's going to then, write and direct her own life story, it implies, obviously there's going to be no objectivity, of course, with that. Right. But also that, it then becomes, well, how do you, forget the objectivity of the story, but how do you get objective about the movie, right? You're going to want to include so much because she has a lot. Like, you could make a whole movie about Madonna from 1984.
Yes.
Right? Just that year, the Like a Virgin year, that, right? And then there's that, and then she married Sean Penn. I mean, all that time right there, that's a whole movie. And then you have, again, with, the Like a Prayer time, that's in the 90s when she's bigger, that's with the Erotica album that's coming out then. And she has, that tour, the Evita, the Truth or Dare documentary she had coming out. There's a lot going on there. And so to try to pack, the roller coaster part of a journey, also A League of Their Own was somewhere in the middle of all that. Right. Yeah. So if you're trying to do it as a roller coaster, that implies, well, I had these humble beginnings. I rose up to this. I became this megastar. People tried to tear me down. Well, that's, 20 something years of life. And I think that, any biopic I've seen, the longer you try to cover in a movie in terms of time, then it's diminishing returns. Right. The best, I think a lot of the better movies, when you see that, like a Bohemian Rhapsody, they really did kind of, they touched on a little bit of the early stuff, but they focused on a few years of the Queen's story to make the movie work. And so you'd have to focus in. Whereas I think that the inclination would be too self-indulgent to try to include, well, I want to include 15 years of my life. And it's like, well, your life's had a lot happen.
Yes.
So that'd be my concern.
Then there's the whole, who gets cast in that role. And then, you mentioned Sean Penn. Who plays young Sean Penn? Who plays Warren Beatty? All these people that were in her life that are recognizable name people that, clearly can't play themselves in the film anymore. You've got that whole sort of like...
Steve, you are underselling the value of a de-aged Rosanna Arquette.
I forgot.
Yes.
Yes. You're right. We just bring everybody back and de-age them.
Yeah.
Yes.
De-age them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I would do that. I would do Shanghai Surprise. Who's that? Circa 1987. Who's that girl?
Yeah, that was
that truck with that.
Yeah, that's a movie that if you haven't seen, don't. No.
Well, I certainly don't want to diminish the cultural value of Madonna because I am a straight up fan of Madonna. I think she is, she has done an awful lot for music and culture, and she's certainly worth talking about. I think she has it's a complicated biopic to tell. While we're on this topic, though, I do want to pivot and just make a straight up plug for my new very favorite podcast, if I may. Do you mind?
Please do.
I just want to show you. I'm going to put up the camera so you can see. I just want to know what you guys think of this. This is official in partnership with Warner Brothers and I'll just say the estate, and it's this right there.
What?
Yeah. This is the official Prince podcast, and it makes me think about all of the things that we're supposed to think about with regard to these cultural icons. And I'll tell you, I'm a giant Prince fan. I'm a giant Prince fan, bigger Prince fan than Madonna fan by a country mile. And this podcast makes me weep a little bit every single time I listen to a new episode. So today's episode was The Story of Sign of the Times, episode 4, but they've done 1999. It's a pretty new podcast, but it is straight up great. And the access they have to the music and the band members, it's fantastic. So I would say hold off on your Madonna and go listen to the Prince podcast and for your bit of 80s, 90s nostalgia.
Yeah, I'm going to just go quiet for a bit while I subscribe.
I had a feeling. Actually, that was a little bit of a podcast grenade I threw at Ocean right there.
Yeah, you kind of did. I'm a massive Prince fan. So
yeah. All right. We've got a She-Hulk. This is big news. We're talking about She-Hulk has been cast. Did you guys have an idea in your mind who would be the perfect She-Hulk before you heard this news? Have you been thinking a lot about She-Hulk?
No, I didn't know that was that in the works. I had no idea this showed up.
It's a Disney Plus show. Yeah.
I haven't been, keeping track of what the whole Disney Plus Marvel shows were. So this one caught me by surprise.
No, it caught me by surprise as well. I was completely unaware of it. I'm not even after reading it. I'm not very familiar with the work of the person of the woman that they cast to play. I know. It's not. Oh. Yes, I did not see Black Orphan.
Orphan Black.
Orphan Black.
Okay.
Oh
well,
my
I didn't see
God, you were so racist.
I didn't see that show either. Yeah, exactly. Yes. So since I wasn't aware of it, I wasn't thinking about it or anything like that. I mean, She-Hulk is also just at least as a I'm a pretty sizable comic book fan, and even in my universe, She-Hulk is a very minor character. She was kind of like there were some plucky jokes here and there about her, but nothing took too seriously. So it's like when this comes out, I might watch it, especially if we're still all stuck in our homes. But this isn't something that I was let's say looking forward to. I'm not excited about it, but more power to him.
Okay. First of all, the answer that I was looking for originally was, and I know you guys this is going to be completely lost on you, but to the few people who are listening who are actually thinking about this casting, tell me it shouldn't have gone to Alison Brie. What? Allison, that's right. You guys don't have to say anything because everybody out there is listening to that saying, Pete, you just fixed She-Hulk. That is amazing. It should have been Alison Brie because she could totally pull off the attorney by day, muscle-bound monster by night. She is. It's not Alison Brie. It is another fantastically cast actor for this role. It's Tatiana Maslany from Orphan Black. Yes, also from more recently Perry Mason on HBO, where she played a religious zealot cult leader. And and she was great. What a terrific show. More people should be talking about that show now. She was just fantastic. But the fact that she played, 90% of the characters in Orphan Black, which was also terrific. She's incredibly talented. I just didn't see it. And so I'm having to adjust a little bit. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm glad to see that they're clearly throwing some money at it for Disney Plus. So it should be. I'm ready to get our first spate of Disney Plus shows, like big Marvel Disney Plus shows out there. It's really, I just want the She-Hulk.
Well, and I think it's a smart move because after the whole big Endgame and all of that, that was such a well architected mega story. One of the strengths of the comic books is these side smaller characters and these little stories and all that, and the big screen is not the right environment for that. So I love that they're doing this to offer something up, and I think that the diversity of the characters that they're going to be doing, the different types of stories, something they couldn't pull off on network TV because they had what. They couldn't make Agent Carter stick really well. That only did a couple seasons, and then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did 7 seasons? That just ended. I mean that was that, but that was really
ended well too. I have to say,
but
it ended well.
Here I think by having sort of, for lack of a better term, like a captive audience within your Disney Plus subscribers, you've got the people there, you've got the eyeballs there, and that they will show up for this stuff. And I like the flexibility I think it should give them in storytelling and what they need to do with this. So I'm not like a huge Marvel fan or anything, but if you're going to pick an interesting character and find a unique story to tell with it, then I'm all on board for it.
Yeah, no, I am a Marvel fan, and definitely am looking forward to the various better shows they have. The Loki one, I'm hoping that comes out soon. I think the Loki one's supposed to now come out before the Winter Soldier Falcon show. Now that they're actually going to try to then start bringing those out in the late fall, early next year, and that'll happen. And if She-Hulk is a few years away, honestly, for my personal opinion, I wish they would have put that effort into bringing back Daredevil, right? Because Daredevil was a great Netflix show. It just transitions right over. You just put it on there and then start pumping out more episodes. That show was great. It was 3 seasons in. It was finding its groove, and just bring that over. The other Defender shows, it's a mixed bag. I can take them, I can leave them, but the Daredevil show was great, and I wish they'd have brought that one over.
Yeah, and the problem is we've lost Charlie Cox, and he was just like, what is going on with him in the Marvel universe? Because I need him as our street level hero. Like he was just so good. He was so good as Daredevil. So
I don't know. I did see an article that said that Marvel is reportedly set to open talks with Charlie Cox in December for a Daredevil return.
Yeah, I would take that. I would take that above all of this other stuff.
Yes. Oh, I know. Yeah. It's one of these things where I'm like, it's always fun to have those speculative, dreamy rumors out there.
Yeah. I do like it that it feels like the Endgame happened, which threw the Marvel Universe into chaos, and now the Marvel Universe is fully in chaos. Like, who knows what the next thing they're going to announce is. Yeah. Okay, so we've got 5 stories left. Pick one. Is it going to be Kate Winslet on working with celebrated pedophiles?
Celebrated pedophiles? Yeah.
Is it going to be Batman and COVID?
No.
Is it going to be Star Trek shouldn't make movies anymore?
What?
It's going to be.
That's, yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, Pete, you pick because I threw in stories, Ocean threw in stories. You contributed, nada, you pick.
I feel like I could talk about any one of these, but the one that I'm most curious about, and it is because Ocean picked it if he was gunning for a fight, is the Star Trek angle. I just don't know if he and I have another James Bond between us here.
I don't know. So do you want me to start with whether I think that? Yeah.
Well, and what is the story?
Article,
what was this? This was just an opinion essay from Dusty Stowe.
Okay, yeah. So it was an opinion essay from on Screen Rant, and it was discussing whether or not Star Trek is better served to be television shows instead of movies. That the basic premise of the argument was that most of the movies so let me back up. The basic premise of it was really more that the television show of Star Trek gave you multiple layers of things to enjoy. You had deep, complicated storylines. You had a lot of character development, character building. You had world building. You had adventures. You had a lot of things that serially mattered, right? Decisions were made that were then readdressed, in multiple episodes or even seasons later, creating a multiple layered effect of a television show, which was the greatness of the Star Trek shows. And there's several to choose from. And with the movies, though, were more of a kind of a big, either a big episode or a big kind of like, like a slice of a thing, a slice of the story, but not necessarily didn't give you the deep emotional context of, the different characters inside themselves, that each story was a self-contained kind of like, an action, somewhat of an action flick, and that they all had various mixed results. Like, Star Trek, the original motion picture, while visually stunning for everything at the time, is, looked at as just, it's not a very interesting, compelling story. It's not a great movie. Star Trek 2, on the flip side, is a great movie, but a lot of that is, in the opinion of the article, drawn from, well, it draws from the old television show that Ricardo Montalban was in, was it Earth Seed, or whatever the seed was, that show, and bringing that character in, so that way now you're dealing with these characters that have known each other for 30 years, and now they're dealing with the after effect, or the results of the decisions they made in their youth, and trying to then resolve those things with starships and lasers, and so the argument, or the discussion point, really is, is Star Trek a better served vehicle as a TV show, and that they should just abandon making movies? Because even if you look at the current stuff, the first, the reboot, the first one of the reboot was, there's a nice fun story. They created the Kelvin timeline, and, and it was, new and exciting and great to see the characters back again. But then after that, it started getting, lackluster reviews, lackluster box office, and because these stories were kind of just, they were just stories thrown up against the wall. They didn't seem to have the same context and depth you get from following these characters, week in and week out through episodic television. So I for one, I did find myself, and this may be where we fight, Pete, then, I for one did find myself convinced that yes, they should stop making movies, right? Because the television shows are great, and I can give you, half hour of diatribe about why I think Deep Space Nine is the best Star Trek show, right? But then if you thought that, the Next Generation was the best one, or Voyager was the best one, or, all these other shows with all these deep, different meanings and subtext and cultures, I think that you would, that's fine. Everyone has their opinion, but they're all great. And the movies aren't. And as much as I love most of the shows, I don't love all the movies. I mean, there's several of those movies that I'm not watching again. Star Trek 5, I pretend didn't happen. Right? And then and really, even with the Next Generation ones, which I love the Next Generation, seen every episode of the TV show after First Contact, which was the last movie based on kind of what happened in the TV show, that thing those movies went off the rails. So I do think that the story of Star Trek lends itself to being what it was originally, and that is a television show.
I was hoping that we would fight about this because I love our fights, but I don't have a point of disagreement. I can't believe it. I guess the only place where we might disagree is on, like, what phase of the moon it is depends on which series I like the most. But I like them all. I'm a straight up Voyager fan, right? Like, I love that. I love Deep Space Nine. I was deeply connected to especially later seasons of Deep Space Nine. But frankly, the work that they're doing right now in Star Trek television, Discovery Season 1 was fantastic. Discovery Season 2 was better. I am looking forward to Star Trek Strange New Worlds, the Captain Pike spinoff, unlike any other series that's out there. Like, I just am deeply interested in what they're doing. Oh, Picard. Make an old man run upstairs. I would see that all day. It was great. And I think what they're doing for the next season, the reports coming out for the next season of Picard are just fantastic. And I think some of the best captains are coming out of television right now too, in terms of the idols of Star Trek lore. They're doing some really great work. I think, though, I wouldn't want to undersell the value of Star Trek cinema. They have done some incredible work on the big screen, too. And I think when you look at, you haven't heard Shakespeare until you've heard it in its original Klingon. It's just, there's some just beautiful and precise filmmaking going on in some of these movies. And I think it's lost its way. I think that's the big challenge here, is it's lost its direction and it's lost its leadership. And that the most sort of salient critical and creative leadership has moved into series television for Star Trek. And, I'm okay with it.
I mean, I think that it comes down to, and I think, the point is the stories that they've chosen to tell. Yes, television works best because it is such an expansive universe, because it depends on getting to know these characters over multiple episodes and in seasons and seeing them grow. But the thing that makes me think of is, what's the closest thing to that cinematically that I've seen? And that's these really expansive, well-structured franchises. When you look at the arc of Tony Stark over this whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, and why Endgame was such a devastating film to watch, because we had that same experience over 20 films with all of these characters. Why are people so upset about the Star Wars franchise? Because it lost its way, and it broke down into, we're just going to tell these stories, versus George Lucas had an architected structure. And I think that's what Star Trek would need to get to, would be, we're going to tell a sequence of stories that are part of a larger arc. That's what it needs. That's what I think happened with the reboot is they started off in a great spot with rebooting things with the whole time thing. And I thought, okay, where does this go? They didn't know where to go. They did a rehash of Wrath of Khan, and then they did a little one-off story, and there wasn't enough continuity, connective tissue between all of these to say, here's the arc of this James T. Kirk. That's where I think the franchise would need to go, would be, let's tell a larger story where we take these characters through some things over time, like a season of a TV show, give them the ups and downs.
Well, and that's where TV is so good. I don't know. I mean, I think the bigger challenge with the Star Trek reboot is that they made these choices to remake other Star Trek movies.
Yes.
And in many, many important ways. And I had a great deal of fun watching them, but I walked out of the restaurant hungry immediately.
Yes.
And so I think that's a bigger problem, and that's the creative and the lack of creative leadership and fear of taking any risks on new story ideas. I think that's a real challenge, and I don't think we have that same problem with Discovery and with Mandalorian and with this is where we're experimenting, and if that's where we are right now, I'll go along the ride.
Yep.
Let's do trailers.
Yes. Okay.
I didn't go first. I didn't get in here first.
I know. No. I know I get to go first, but do I get to go first since I swapped it out at the last minute? Is that my game?
Yeah, I think that's a mistake in the ground. Yeah,
but I had one, and then right at the last minute here. So earlier today, this trailer dropped for The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which I picked because written, directed, starring Jim Cummings, who I just discovered earlier this year with his amazing film Thunder Road, and this is the story of. I tried to get a sense of the tone of this because it's a horror. It reminds me of X-Files. It's got these horror elements like a monster movie, but you've got this cop there seems to be some comic elements to this because we've got terror gripping this small mountain town, a full moon, and we've got this police officer who's going to catch this guy and bring him to justice.
I'm John. I'm an alcoholic. I've been in the program now for 6 years, sober for 3.
This is scary. It's new. I never saw a body like that.
There's going to be a lot of late nights and overtime because of the brutal murder that happened in town, and I didn't want to set up expectations that I can't keep.
Our expectations of you are very low.
I'm in it for the suspense. I'm in it for the thrills. I'm in it for the jokes. When the sheriff says, "Well, I'd pray, ask everybody to pray, but." For the damn lawyers, we get to see Robert Forster. So I'm thrilled about this. It's coming October 9th. I don't know where this is going to hit. This is from Orion Films. I can't imagine it's going into theaters, but there was nothing that said coming to anywhere. It just said coming soon, and IMDb says October 9th. It's the perfect movie for Halloween, a horror thriller comedy. And if you haven't seen Thunder Road, go check that out to get a sense of this. But apparently Jim Cummings likes writing movies around these flawed police officers, because we've got another one of them here in this film. I
thought this was the sequel to Wolf Cop, and then it almost looks like the sequel to Wolf Cop. I know. I thought this was fantastic. It's got so much great funny in it, like really dry, subversive funny, and I think it's just. I think it looks absolutely great. I'm really excited to see it. I don't know. I haven't seen Thunder Road. I feel like I should have seen Thunder Road as homework before this thing. But Jim Cummings is, he's quite a talent, and he has a fantastic sense of humor.
Yeah, I guess that would be the moderately wet blanket in this one. I had a tepid response to this trailer. I think that. I think when I saw the trailer, I got the tone that it was going for. There was the humorous part of the fish out of water cop who's then trying to basically tell everybody that what they're seeing isn't true, and that what he thinks is the reality, when in fact people are getting killed by a giant wolf. And so I think that the premise looks good, and it looks kind of humorous what they're trying to do with it. But there's just kind of, I think that there's pieces of it that I can't quite describe, where it's like, I just don't know that this is necessarily for me. And then it kind of started to lose me at the end of the trailer, because the wolf stands up on his hind legs.
Yes.
It's a werewolf.
And at that point, it's like, so is it Bigfoot now? Or,
it's a werewolf.
What are we dealing with here? So yeah, I found that, it was one of those movies where it's like, well,
and that,
I can't. I'm just. It's kind of like maybe.
That's for me. It's the X-Files part of it. That's what I get from that, because it can tread on both of those sides of. Yeah. Is it a werewolf? Is it somebody dressing up as a werewolf? Is it Bigfoot actually? I don't know. And the thing is, I don't care, because to me, it's going to be the exploration of everybody says this is what's going on, and I'm going to hold fast to what I believe, and we'll find out who's wrong. And to me, that'll be the thrill of this, of seeing what the commentary is about when one man's standing up against the society telling him this is what is going on. Because I think that's, for me, the interesting aspect of this. And the whole, Wolfman thing is just icing on the cake on top of that.
Such juicy icing. I don't know if icing is juicy. Sweet. It's sweet. It's sweet icing.
Okay. So Pete, go to Amazon Prime or Canopy, and you can watch Thunder Road. That's your homework for this weekend.
Oh, absolutely. I'm on it. All right, Ocean, what do you got?
Yeah. So I chose. So the movie I chose is called Freaky, and so the synopsis from that movie is: after swapping bodies with a deranged serial killer.
Full stop. Don't even do anymore.
A young girl in high school discovers that she has less than 24 hours before the change becomes permanent.
I have like less than 6 hours to swap back, or I'm going to be stuck in his body forever.
Oh my God, it's supposed to be a butcher!
Great. We're going to get killed by Murder Barbie.
The trailer itself, it is created. It's a movie created and made by the same people that made the Happy Death Day movies. So it looks, so it has that look and tone to it. I think that the movie for me personally has three main things that I definitely like. One is it's an interesting take on the Freaky Friday movies. I like the Freaky Friday movies, right? I like the old one from the 70s, and I loved the Jamie Lee Curtis, Lindsay Lohan version, and I don't care who knows it. I thought that was a well done, funny. Yes, that was a well done. Yes, it was a well done, funny movie, and I like the Freaky Friday format. Two,
I like Vince Vaughn. Freaky Friday format, man. I'm putting that on a shirt.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah, I'm going to register that as a trademark. All right. So Vince Vaughn is always funny.
Yeah.
Right. Even in bad movies, Vince Vaughn is funny. Even in movies where he's not supposed to be funny, Vince Vaughn is funny. And so I find Vince Vaughn entertaining and funny, and he looks great in this trailer as I guess he starts the movie as a serial killer and then spends the bulk of the movie as a 16-year-old girl. And then the third, which I did talk about, was having that Happy Death Day vibe. They do share the same director. It looks like a lot of fun. You can have it in movies while people are being killed every few minutes. There was decent scenes in the movie. Not only there was a lot of humor in it, but even a couple of jump scenes in the trailer that looked at where I already liked. And so the other thing I do also enjoy is that Christopher Landon, who is the director, has already confirmed that this movie exists in the same universe as Happy Death Day.
Oh, of course. That's the money shot right there.
Yes. However, for those of you like me that are Happy Death Day fans and have seen all of them, he has not confirmed which dimension it is.
Okay. All right.
So think about that. Yes. And I am impressed in this movie. Not only did it look entertaining and it was great, but I'm impressed that we are getting universe building out of movies that are not based on comic books.
Yes.
So good.
Oh, yes. The current release date is November the 13th. Now, in the trailers, it will tell you that it's coming out in theaters. It's not coming out.
No, it's not coming out in theaters.
So you may have to wait a little bit longer for that.
This is somebody cut the trailer months ago. They threw it in like, this will post on this day because it'll be around Halloween. It'll post in late September. We'll get things ready. And it just sort of was on autopilot because, I mean, it's the perfect timing for this movie. I'm so on board for this. It's taking, I mean, it goes all the way back to Wes Craven's Scream of movies being hyper aware when you've got characters running away saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm gay and you're black. We're not going to make it." You know, it's those things.
If this were a horror movie, I'd be the first to die.
You're right.
Exactly.
And there's, all of those things that we can laugh at. And I love when it's a smart film that knows how to play around with those conventions of the genre. Happy Death Day did a great job of that. So when I saw that connection, I thought, I am so on board with this. I love what they did in the Happy Death Day to You, of where, and we talked about on the show, of taking that and just blowing that up into something much larger. So hearing this is part of that whole world, I love this sandbox that they're going to be playing around in. And I'm looking forward to this and anything else that they do.
My trailer comes. This is one that I'm surprised nobody has talked about. It's been it's one of those that was supposed to release in theaters 3 or 4 times, and it's been in production at some level since 2012. But the reason I'm surprised no one has talked about it while I'm looking sternly at Steve is that it is described as, quote, a post-apocalyptic road movie in the vein of Mad Max and Zombieland with a John Hughes-esque love story. And that feels like it's more kind of in the park of Mr. Sarmento than anybody else. But I saw this trailer and I thought it was adorable. I'm talking, of course, about Love and Monsters. And for those of you who wondered what happened after the end of Guardians 2 with old Michael Rooker, he ended up here after the monster apocalypse. And he looks great. He's doing fine, y'all. He's fine. It is a road movie of characters who are trying to cross the landscape, 85 miles, and that landscape happens to be full of giant monsters, slime, bodies of slime, insectoids, big spiders. It looks hideous, full of what looks to be some great special effects, probably some fun jokes. It's a Paramount thing, also an MTV Films thing, so that may be a signal for what kind of movie it is.
The day of the monster uprising was the day I lost everyone. Only a small fraction of humanity survived and moved underground. I've been scanning for Amy the entire time. And now I finally found her.
Joel!
Hey!
Joel!
Amy, is that you?
Oh my God!
Hey! How far away is Amy's colony?
85 miles. It's an impossible journey. Everyone will try to kill you. Don't fight. Just run and hide.
Okay.
Yes, this is my kind of thing. It reminded me of, tonally, it reminded me of Warm Bodies, but story-wise, it reminded me of like Cloverfield. Of like, I'm gonna go through this horror movie to get to the girl. There's something about maybe it's the MTV Films aspect of it. I know that it's lighter than I would want it to be, because I would really like this to be darker, but it's going to be what it is. And it's got, the music play, all of that. It's going to be fun. This is something that, teenagers it's marketed to them. Hey, kids, go see this movie. It's about love, but it's also got great effects and monsters and all that great stuff. This is like the 2020 version of like drive-in, theater B monster movies. I mean, that's, what this is. Fun. I'll look forward to watching this on my TV screen. Nothing I would go into the theater for, but it's going to be just a fun popcorn movie. I mean, that's what it is. Right where, as you pointed out, yes, this probably should have been my trailer, but
yeah, hands down.
Well, I agree that the movie does look like it looks like a lot of fun and very entertaining. Of the mashing together of movies you described, I definitely did have the Zombieland feel of the whole thing the whole time when I was watching the trailer. I also felt that it was an improvement on Pacific Rim, in that it's like if the monsters from Pacific Rim had invaded and we didn't have those stupid slow robots.
Yeah, right.
They were
free of the shackles of robots.
Exactly. Yeah. Free of the shackles of those stupid robots. Then this is the movie that would have come out. But yeah, no, it looks funny, entertaining. It does, give you that, that nice warm, fuzzy feeling of, someone that will do anything for love, including cross 85 miles of terrain with with littered with monsters, with a dog who I just have a feeling from the trailer that dog is something else.
Yeah, that dog's a star.
That dog is going to turn into something like the dog's going to turn into a monster.
Yeah.
Or the dog's going to have some twist, I'm sure. But yeah, no, it looks like a fun, entertaining movie and something that I look forward to watching on my TV at home.
Yeah. You're going to be able to do that. And, for me, I feel like I heard that this was in the same cinematic universe as 1996's hit film, Joe's Apartment.
Oh. The cockroaches? Yes. Oh, yes. Wow.
Oh, Jerry O'Connell, where are you? You're going to be able to see this very movie on October 16th on internet. Is where you're going to see
internet?
it.
Okay.
They booted it for theaters 3 times. They kept trying. And finally, this is a movie that gave up. They just want to start making some money. So go give them some money. I think it should be fun. Love and Monsters, October 16th on internet. Let's do the list.
It's based on what?
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
We ended up with 3 choices from the team: mythical weapons, female action stars, and hyper choreographed violence. Those were our choices, and nobody cares about mythical weapons or hyper choreographed violence at all. Everybody wanted to talk about female action stars, and so that is what we shall talk about today.
Yes. And
Steve,
well, we need to talk about that a gauntlet was thrown down, that the list should not include aliens or Terminators. Because it's just, Ripley and Sarah Connor are just sort of like that. Those are givens. Those are right up there.
Yes.
So the challenge was to can you avoid those? And I think the thing is, there are plenty to choose from. There's quite a bit out there. My challenge was, what have you guys not talked about on the show? Either on your show or Film Board. So where do we go? And so I had to dig in, and I went with a little film that I had heard good things about and then watched and was completely blown away and surprised. And it's one of these films that I think a lot of people didn't see, and maybe they're going to rediscover it now since it's now been turned into an Amazon Prime series. But I'm talking about the 2011 film from Joe Wright, Hannah, about a 16-year-old girl who was raised by her father to be the perfect assassin, and an amazing cast with Eric Bana and Cate Blanchett and Saoirse Ronan. That's my first pick. Lady action stars.
That's a good pick. And I will say, the Amazon spinoff show is great.
Very good.
Have not had a chance to start that yet.
I actually watched the show, but not the movie.
Oh, okay.
So I really do enjoy the show.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
All right. Ocean, what's your first pick?
Okay. Well, I did respect the gauntlet that was dropped for the no Linda Hamilton or Sigourney Weaver. However, I'm sure I will fail we've never talked about it on the show. So my first movie pick for Action Heroes was what I did is I actually went to my own personal flick chart page and I looked at what is actually my flick chart on Ocean_PDX, and my number 1 movie on my flick chart page is a movie. It's a shy, quiet movie about a lady who befalls an accident, was sleeping for a few years, and wakes up and realizes that she is no longer pregnant. And she blames one person for this, that she's been shot in the head, and she's woken up and her child's been taken from her, and she blames Bill. And so now she is going to wake up, rehabilitate, and kill Bill. So
okay.
Kill Bill, Volume 1.
You really got every bite out of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Kill
nice.
Bill, Volume 1, Uma Thurman.
Yes.
So that is my first action female hero one. And that's one of the things I did like about that with her was I was trying to pick movies where the lead actresses aren't always in action movies. And so unless you count the Avengers, and no, not the good one, the one that was in the mid-90s, she's predominantly not in action movies.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm as going third. It's a blessing and a curse. It's risky because I feel like given the gauntlet that has been thrown, it's possible for some steals here.
Yeah.
I think I will start with I'm gonna go right off of Ocean's Tip, and I'm gonna stick with Tarantino, and I'm gonna pick a Kiwi action performer by the name of Zoe Bell. This is a movie that I've picked before in the list for different reasons. This one is Death Proof. Zoe Bell was a stunt performer, and she was actually the stunt woman for Uma Thurman in Kill Bill. Over the course of working with her on other movies, Tarantino said, I think I'm gonna send you a script, and he sends her the script, and she actually has a part in the actual movie, and so she's one of the trio at the end that does the final race. She's actually the one who's hanging with the belt straps on the top of the Challenger in that final race on the country road, and she's just hanging off the front of a car, just doing her thing at terrifyingly high speeds. She's great. She looks great. She's a stunt woman, and she does the I'm strong and do crazy things stuff right. In this movie. So Zoe Bell.
Great pick. That movie was great. I've seen it multiple times. I love Kurt Russell as a stuntman Mike. Yes. If I remember correctly, that's his name. And but yeah, no, it's a great movie. And I think that the fact that I was impressed that she was able to pull off the acting portion of the role, because I think that the Tarantino really kind of got hit a gold mine there with being able to have the stunt, since she is a stunt woman, to be able to then do these basically single camera long shots of the actor on the top of the car, because in this movie the actor's on top of the
actor's car. On top of the car,
right, and they really are doing everything. So yeah, no, it was a great movie, very enjoyable.
So the list category is what? Female action stars, right? So
sure.
So this was the challenge of this list. I was like, well, what if I just want to pick a person and just say, well, there's a variety of films you could pick, because I want to go with Charlize Theron, and you could say, oh, I don't know, Mad Max Fury Road. You could say Atomic Blonde. I will go with Atomic Blonde because I don't think we've picked that one on the list, and both of those films are high on my list, but I will go with Atomic Blonde because I think we've talked about Mad Max Fury Road a lot. I don't know that we've talked about Atomic Blonde as much on here, but
no, and it's never been picked.
And
that's
which
right.
is amazing to me. And that is I saw that in the theater and I had so much fun with that. Amazing stunts, amazing action sequences, a nice little, Cold War spy thriller. If you have not seen it, go check it out. You are missing out on a great film.
100%. And I'm going to give you a steal.
Oh, right.
On this one. Charlize Theron, South African movie star. She's, what I love about that is that she really made this incredible pivot, and in the mid 2010s. And I don't know if you want to say that was Fury Road, but she changed the roles that she was taking and took a kind of ownership of her career as an action hero that I think is laudable. I mean, I really am impressed by what she's done. Even though the last thing what was it, the Guardians,
the Old Guard?
Yeah, it was
all right.
It was terrible. I did not have a good time with that movie. I was frustrated by that movie.
That movie set up for a sequel that I wish had been the movie I watched.
That's right. Yeah, I would like to see that movie. Yeah. So anyway, great steal, great pick. Ocean, what do you got?
Well, I went with the actress who was at the time lesser known in starring in a movie that is gigantic and everybody's seen. And I chose Carrie-Anne Moss from The Matrix.
Are you picking? Is the Matrix the one you're picking, or do you want to go with Revolutions?
No. No, The Matrix is the better movie. The Matrix, what is it? Reloaded, the second one that has the best the best action sequence I think has ever been put to film is the second one. That there's that 20-minute sequence where they start in the house with Neo's fighting with the people in the house and it ends with the truck at the end. I think that that 20 minutes of cinema there, as far as action sequences that are entertaining, high octane, and I'm not getting bored with it being that long. That's just the best action sequence ever. But the movie I'm picking for this is The Matrix, which, if you haven't seen The Matrix, get out from underneath your rock and go watch it, because it is a great mind-bending movie. I think that the interesting thing that I had for me, even personally, with The Matrix was that because The Matrix came out 20 years ago now, and so I was going to show it to my teenage son. And turns out it did not go over as well as I would have anticipated. It did not, because, and he didn't even make it through the whole movie. But I understand some of it. I understand, though, in that The Matrix has reached this point of where it has been imitated to such a degree that all the things that you and I saw when we saw it in theaters, that was mind blowing. And oh my goodness, I've never seen this type of cinematography, this type of the everything about it that was so mind blowing when you originally saw it. Now it's been copied and done to death so much that for my teenage son, he's grown up watching this his whole life. So to him, it's no big deal when Neo's dodging the bullets, or it's no big deal when they're with the different effects in the fight scene. So yeah, but it is a great movie. Like I said, if you haven't seen it, get out from underneath your rock.
My second pick is, I'm going to stay on Ocean's lead on this one too. I watched this movie when we did our series on Lady Vengeance and Old Boy, and there's some straight up violence in there. And one of the movies that kept being referenced as a film that inspired so many others is this film. It also deeply inspired Kill Bill. I'm talking about The Lady Snowblood, and the star in that film was Meiko Kaji. And if you go check out Meiko Kaji, she's done a number of films in addition to Lady Snowblood, which has some, direct homage to Kill Bill. It is deeply inspirational for that movie, and so it's beautiful, it's weird, it's kind of a B-list thing. She was that level of sort of Japanese cult icon heroine on screen. We're not looking at Kill Bill level stunt work. It was, I'm going to walk up to you, slice you once, and then you're going to fall over dead. It's more like Japanese exploitation cinema. She's the Pam Grier of Japan, circa 1976. But Lady Snowblood, I really enjoyed. I had a great time with that movie, and I think she is captivating. They do so many wonderful, just hero shots. She kills some guy, she throws a dart in his neck, and then she turns, and the camera's on her, and the shadows are perfect, and her makeup is perfect, and she's just beautiful and sexy. And Lady Snowblood, Meiko Kaji. Check it out. Steve.
I'm torn, because I have my tradition of picking a film that's been talked on the show to point people back to another show. So I'm going to go with that. I've got some backups that I'll talk about that were really close there, but I'm going to go with back in the spring of 1991, when my wife and I were in college and dating, we walked into a movie theater to watch this little French action movie that exploded our brains and put us on the path of falling in love with Luc Besson, when we saw in the theater La Femme Nikita and just fell in love with the story, the action. I don't know that it holds up, because I think similar to The Matrix, there's been a lot of things that have upped the ante. But in 1991, sitting in there and discovering this story, it just holds a very special place in our hearts for this great story of a young street rat that is taken in and turned into an assassin.
I love that movie. I cannot believe how weird she was. Anne Pariot, She was just so great at being damaged. Have you seen that original, Ocean?
I have not. I've not seen it. Well, I've seen I think it was more the television shows what I saw.
Oh, okay.
The actual movie.
Okay, so that's always our first question. Ocean, this has been turned into a TV series.
Yeah.
just to watch that for
Ocean's seen the TV series.
That's his watch list, right? Was this a movie that was turned into a TV series? Boom, on my watch list.
Right.
Yeah. Saw it then. Yeah. No, I interestingly I didn't know about this movie when it came out. It just wasn't on my radar at all, and I ended up learning about it because I saw the Bridget Fonda Point of No Return. So when I saw that, and I heard that it was actually based on a much better movie, So
the only thing good that came out of that version of the movie was the soundtrack. They remastered some old Nina Simone stuff.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yes.
It was great.
Agreed.
I still play that soundtrack.
Wait, I was wrong. I have seen that movie. I've seen the movie. The movie's great.
Hey, that was a real roller coaster.
Wow.
You just took us on.
Did you pull up your flick chart? Check this flick chart. There it is, right?
Yeah. I didn't know we were going to go with that. But I just realized that I just remembered I haven't seen the movie, because when you said Nina Simone, I remember that when I saw the movie, I was that was the only part of it that I was disappointed on comparing it to Point of No Return, was that I didn't like the artist as much, though because she had the same. In the French movie, she has some other singer she's obsessed with, but it wasn't Nina Simone.
Right. It wasn't Nina Simone. Right.
Yeah, so I was like, well, why didn't they just overdub Nina Simone into this?
Because it's French movie.
Yes,
because it was made first, and in French, there's a lot of reasons why they didn't.
Yeah. There's a lot of reasons. Okay, that was rhetorical. Good. All right.
It was rhetorical. Yeah, there's tons of reasons.
All right. What's your last pick?
Okay, so my last pick is in keeping with movies. Well, my original goal with this was try to find movies where they were big action movies with actresses at the lead that aren't normally in action movies. And so this is my third pick is a little bit close. It's close-ish to that. She's done a couple other of action things, but not too much. And it is, in keeping of theme of, I'm going to list movies that everybody's probably already seen. And it is Cameron Diaz is the actress, and the movie is Charlie's Angels. And in that, with her now in that movie, I could have picked Lucy Liu or Drew Barrymore.
You sure could. Yeah.
I honestly chose Cameron Diaz because in the movie Charlie's Angels, they do have an in-depth discussion about the different fighting styles of the ladies, and I aesthetically enjoyed Cameron Diaz's fighting style more than the other two.
All right, Charlie's Angels is on the list.
Yes,
have
Charlie's
we
Angels.
ever done Charlie's Angels? The answer is no.
Oh, look at that. I backed into making it through the other goal too.
You sure did. Well played, sir. All right. My final pick is tough because I had that Thrones deal. That was going to be my ace in the hole. I was going to start with The Devil's Advocate and see if I could give you hints. It was just rough.
That was not an action flick.
Okay, so I'm going to go with one I think we've talked about, movies that she has been in, but I'm going to pick it now specifically because we're about to do a big old series where we talk about the lovely Kate Beckinsale. Kate is a British actress, and she has, I really like Kate Beckinsale a lot because she has been one of those actresses who has so ably gone back and forth between these action movies and just, straight drama and comedy. I think she has a really varied career, her 50 some odd credits. And I think she's great. Also, Underworld, and they do the bullet turning thing in that one, and where she shoots through the floor that I now know is totally impossible because Steve, did you send that to me? That's totally fake. So, but it didn't matter because I still think it's awesome, and so I'm very excited to start our Underworld series coming soon to a podcast near you. And after that, I'm never going to be able to pick Kate Beckinsale again, so I got to get it in now. The question is, which Underworld movie am I picking her for?
I'm assuming.
Yeah, I was getting.
Do you have to?
No,
I mean, I could pick her.
Should.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right, then it's Underworld. Letters from Iwo Jima is the next movie that we are talking about. Have you seen Letters from Iwo Jima, both of you?
Yes, I have. I've seen it and enjoyed it very much.
I've seen neither of those because it's not the part. It's like Letters, Flags of Our Fathers.
Flags of Our Fathers.
Yes,
yes, which got the big push, and then turns out wasn't that good. And Letters from Iwo Jima, which was lesser hyped, was the amazing movie of the two.
Because it's told from such an incredible perspective, right? I mean, it's just told from the perspective of the Japanese army that's sitting on Iwo Jima, about to be landed upon by Allied forces, and it's amazing. Their prep work the thing that stands out for me is just how incredible Clint Eastwood did as a director at telling what is ultimately quite a patriotic story about the Japanese. I mean, it was lovely. It didn't ring of that sort of saccharine Americanism stuff to me. Of course, I probably missed a lot. Anyway, we have to think then about categories. And what are you thinking for those? We have some suggestions. Andy comes in and he gives us this whole list, and I try not to look at it. I'm like holding it. I
haven't seen the suggestions yet. I will go off the first one that I thought of.
Let's do it.
Start here with movies depicting a lost cause.
Oh, lost cause. Great idea.
Yeah, and in this one, because that's one thing that I found interesting, at least, part of when I was watching the movie, my enjoyment of the movie is, about halfway through, you still recognize, okay, I'm an American. I know the Allies win. I want America to win. I don't want Japan to win. This is World War II. But you start kind of, feeling for the Japanese characters a bit more. Yeah. You almost want them to overcome this obstacle that they know, everybody knows they're not going to win. They're not going to make it. And then you start wanting them to, maybe, then you start thinking, well, maybe because you're watching it as a movie, maybe they'll, figure out a way to.
Maybe it's maybe this was a comeback film after all.
Comeback. Yeah, it's a comeback. Yeah. And then after a while, you kind of resign yourself to like, okay, well, maybe they don't have to just all die, right? Yeah. Maybe these few characters that I care about, hopefully they live to the end of the movie, even though everybody loses, right? And so I like movies, I think that it's an interesting theme of movies to talk about, or and that can be taken many different ways, but they're a true lost cause.
Oh, I love it. Oh, yeah. That's great. Yeah. In terms of setting, this movie takes place in large part in tunnels. It really celebrates the Japanese network of tunnels under Iwo Jima. And so there is a suggestion here about tunnel movies that take place in or around tunnels.
Wasn't that a topic back when you were doing the French prison break movies? Wasn't there one of the options tunnels? Maybe people didn't pick it. I can't remember, but
I have nothing in the history.
Okay, all right.
Around digging or tunneling or any other sort of underground. So that's an option. Another suggestion: World War II films from other perspectives or new perspectives, focusing on the losers, island battles, writing letters, famous fights, or disagreements among leaders are suggested categories. We have yet to check the IMDb keywords. Steve, do you have those up?
Well, you can put island battles in there and nobody will pick that. So, like, this is a throwaway one. So.
Apparently, there's killing a dog. Let's see what else. Writing letters. Okay, there you go.
Yes, letter writing.
Famous Japanese soldiers. There you go. No. And, chamber pot. Movies with chamber pots.
There is there's definitely the classic Iwo Jima poop bucket scene. Yes. That does exist. We could do classic chamber pots of movies. Do you know I'm going to put that in there? That's going to be our third. It's going to be a spoiler.
It's a spoiler.
Classic movie chamber pots.
I think the thing that the most options might be World War II films from other perspectives.
What about can I broaden it? Yeah. War films from a different perspective?
Sure, you can do that.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, there's plenty of World War II movies out there.
But what does it mean different?
Yes.
Perspective.
Yeah, you mean not the American
that seems
perspective?
Wildly US centric.
Or not the not the perspective of the European white guys that became Americans. It's like,
right.
What's the perspective?
Is that what we're hiding? So those are the specific words we're trying not to say?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what we're trying to say.
Okay, good. That's great. So how do you put that?
Maybe it is then do we just go, let's focus on the losers? Because
I feel like that's captured in Lost Cause movies.
No, it is. But I think World War II films from a new perspective. So I mean, there's a lot of ways that could go, because it could be from which side it's on. It could be from civilian versus, the heroic soldier. So there's.
I got it.
What have you got?
War movies from a perspective that isn't yours.
There you go. Okay.
Wow.
All right. All right.
So for me, that's most.
Yes. Yes. There you go.
I'm just saying, what was it that Jack Handy said? Before you insult a man, make sure you walk a mile in his shoes. Then when you do insult him, you're a mile away from him and wearing his shoes. War movies from a perspective that isn't yours.
Yes.
All right.
Don't worry, you guys. It will not be picked. And besides, we're not on the show next week anyway. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much to everybody who has downloaded and listened to this show. If you want to hang out with us and actually have a shot at picking this next week's challenge, what movies we're going to talk about next week, Lost Cause movies, war movies from a perspective that isn't yours, or classic movie chamber pots, all you have to do is head over to patreon.com/thenextreel. Join us over there, and for a few bucks a month, you can jump in and be a part of our online community. You can join our online Discord server. Lots of fantastic movie people talking about movie things all the livelong day. From all over the world, people are talking about movies. It's a great deal of fun. And, you know, if you needed to, because there's smoke all over the West, where would you go to get your masks?
I don't know. You might go to thenextreel.com/merch to get some merch, to put merch on your face to keep the smoke from getting into your face. Does that work? Do the masks keep out the smoke?
You know, I'm going to tell you something. We were instructed
not to wear masks.
I'm in Portland. For those who don't know, I'm in Portland, and I have a mask. I have the Nextreel mask, and it has a place for a filter. And we didn't have any filters, and so we had to go outside. And my wife read, "Well, you just have to put a wet tawel in there and then put it on your face." And
so you waterboarded yourself? Is that what you're saying?
It does not feel good. I don't recommend it.
This waterboarding thing isn't pleasant at all. Who would have known?
I will say that the Glorious Fear Marvel Movie Minute Season 2 merch is going away very soon. So if you ever wanted to put Kyle and Rob on your face, now's the time to pick up any of those last minutes. So you can put a pillow. You can get a Kyle and Rob Glorious Fear pillow. Put it right on your couch. Then you can put your face on the pillow. It's great. So we sure appreciate everybody for being a part of the community. Check it out. And we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys. Ocean, it's good to talk to you, bud.
Great talking to you as always, Pete. And Steve, have a good week.
Hondo.